Oh, hey there. Let's talk about the middle of the night. Hi, Les Raymond here with the Mindful Movement. Thanks for joining me today for another mindful tip. Today's tip is a response to a recent question from one of our viewers. I hope I'm getting her name right, Muriel. And it was in one of our sleep meditations, and she asked what to do when you get up in the middle of the night. Now, this is a really common problem, and I personally have quite a bit of experience with this issue, so I figured I'd give my 2 cents on the topic. Now, a lot of things can drive why we might wake up in the middle of the night. And you could always, search for those causes, and you might need some third-party help. You might need a clinician to help you walk you through that process. Me personally, I think my getting up in the middle of the night was driven by some dysbiosis in the gut. I was coming off an antibiotic treatment, and I think it really just kind of dysregulated my gut. Microbes were a little out of balance, and I would get, I think, like a histamine response and maybe throw off my stress hormones, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night. And for a long time, this was really frustrating for me. The fact that I couldn't seem to manage it, couldn't prevent it, and I value my sleep so much that I really had a conflict in my mind about this whole situation. So the thing that had this profound effect for me was really losing the fight and learning to accept that once I was up, I was up. Because for a while, I would stir in bed upset for a long time, and it took forever to get back to sleep, and sometimes I never got back to sleep. And this would happen at 2 or 3 in the morning. So if I didn't get back to sleep, it would really set me up for an unsatisfactory morning when I had to go to work. So what I learned to do is changed my mindset on it. And I started to build a practice that I knew was, one, both nourishing for me and relaxing so that I could get back to sleep. So instead of stirring in bed for an hour frustrated, I would get up right away and I would go do something nourishing. For me, it was drawing an Epsom salt bath and then doing some breath work and some meditation, maybe some spiritual journeying where I just kind of open up and see what arises, maybe what needs to be worked through internally for me. And then I was able to get back in bed. So maybe I was in the bath for a half hour, doing something very healthy, something that felt good, and relaxing, and then within 10 minutes I could be back asleep. And if I thought later in that day, if my overall sleep, from a macro 24-hour view, wasn't as much as I wanted, I would just try to make it a point to get some rest in the afternoon. Maybe put some earplugs in, listen to something relaxing, maybe a meditation or some music just to help me kind of rejuvenate. And what a difference that made. So instead of having this conflict and being really frustrated, it became this opportunity for self-care and personal development and personal growth, and I really embraced it. And now if it happens, if I get up in the middle of the night, it's boom, this is my time. The world is asleep and I'm going to go be productive. Now, some things to factor in with this is really light exposure. So that could right there be one of the reasons you're getting up. So we do have to ask ourselves, well, how do we facilitate a high quality sleep? And that could be driven by our circadian rhythm and the habits that affect those, like our eating habits, our timing of our eating, and probably more importantly, our light exposure. So ideally, as we've mentioned in recent videos, in the evening time, we really want to limit our light exposure, especially artificial light, especially light from the blue light spectrum. And during the day, we really want to get as much light as we can. So sometimes just addressing that might be enough to improve your sleep so you're not waking up in the middle of the night. So that could be one potential driver. But that being said, if you do get up in the middle of the night and the first thing you want to do is factor in, you don't want to make things worse by exposing yourself to light. So let's say you're getting up because you got to pee, which is really common. I think that we have a hormone that we make that actually suppresses our urge to pee while we're sleeping so that we don't get up in the middle of the night. And as you age, I think we make less of that hormone. The name of that hormone, I can't remember right now. If you know it, you can comment below. But there's something to be said there. So as we age, you're just generally more likely to get up in the middle of the night for that reason. Now, if you do, building a practice of being able to get to the bathroom and pee and getting back in bed without exposing yourself to artificial light is ideal. A couple ways to do that. One would be just to memorize how to navigate that route. So, I mean, I personally have enough experience where I could get up and go to the bathroom, get back in bed without turning on any lights. If you feel like that's out of reach for you, investing in a pair of blue light blocking glasses so that you have them bedside, so before you turn on a light, you could protect yourself from that light exposure and keep the artificial lights as low as possible as you navigate that. That could be very beneficial as far as getting back to sleep sooner and not triggering a cascade internally of events that makes your body think that it's daytime, which those artificial lights could definitely do. So limiting your exposure to artificial light would be ideal in that scenario. But also just look for an opportunity of, how can I make the most of this time if you are up? So for me, I found this bath to be a really nourishing, productive solution. So I've lost all of the fight, and that is just tremendous in itself. And a lot of good things have come out of those times. I mean, those meditations where the world is quiet and I'm there by myself, really digging deep inside, that's where I get some of the content that I share with you guys. So sometimes, from that situation can come a real gift if we're looking for it. There's actually evidence in civilizations back in the day that some people lived, I think it's referred to as diurnally, where they would have 2 sleep cycles. So it would be common for people to get up in the middle of the night and actually be productive, whether it be getting work done or even things as stimulating as dancing or being active or even taking part in sexual relations with their partners, and it really being like just another part of their day. So there is evidence of that, and life went on. So it's not the end of the world if you get up in the middle of the night, but some things to consider. Limiting exposure. So let's say you want to get up and be productive. Maybe you want to journal or do some writing or reading. If you could either use some blue light blocking glasses or preferably just light a candle. So a candle light doesn't have nearly the negative impact as artificial light on our circadian rhythm. We've evolved with that fire light, and it's a lot more natural for us to be in a dark space being lit by firelight. And the way our eyes adjust to what they're used to, one candle light in the middle of the night is usually enough to really see yourself around, where if you tried that right at dusk, it might not be as useful. In the middle of the night, it could really feels like it lights up the room. So one candle can go a long way, and that way, again, you're not triggering this the system internally that makes you think you're awake, and you're more likely to get back to sleep soon. So you might be able to get up, do a little reading or writing, and then get back to sleep, still have a good total evening's sleep. Another option is to actually get some movement in. Just be mindful of what kind of movement we're talking about. So maybe a gentle yoga practice or a yin practice, or maybe some of your go-to favorite stretches, maybe some breath work or meditation, where you wake up, you notice you're up, immediately recognize that there's no need to fight. There's no sense, arguing with what's already reality. It's like if you go out and it's raining, it's kind of silly to argue that it's raining. It already is. So you notice you're awake, be okay with it, and move directly into something that you know is something nourishing for you, something productive, something that feels good. Take part in it, be present with it, and then get back to bed. And you might overall really reduce any negative effect of your sleep being disrupted. And you might actually find yourself getting a lot of value and some kind of surprise gifts in that process. Now, I hope you enjoy this video. If you feel like you have a practice that has served you well for those times where you get up in the middle of the night, please share it with the community. You might be able to help someone out. Very interested to hear your feedback on that. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. And I hope this evening you have a very restful evening. And if you don't, I hope that you're open to the possibilities of what it could be for you. Enjoy your day and enjoy your evening.